Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Dr. Quack podcast. Today is a little bit of a special day because I'm not really covering things that are most recent. I'm more wanting to talk about things from the past. In today's episode, I want to cover the Attitude Era versus today when it comes to the WWF/WWE. Those are some big shoes to fill. Because, today's wrestling, I hear a lot of people say, it's not the same as the Attitude Era. It's not the same anymore. Nobody enjoys it as much. And there's a lot of reasons behind it. Some of the big reasons, of course, the stars. You had Stone Cold, you had The Rock, you had The Undertaker, Triple H, developing at that time. Today you have who? Because The Undertaker's retired. Austin is retired. Rock is in Hollywood. You don't have a lot of the stars from the past. Shawn Michaels, you don't have him there. Brock Lesnar is MIA. So who do you really have? John Cena, Hollywood. Who do you really have? Nobody. You have a bunch of guys right now where it's in that 5-year gap. Mark Henry said this best. This 5-year gap right now is where people develop. So you don't really have a lot of great television to watch, but you have some guys that might peak. Drew McIntyre, definitely for one. I will agree on that. We'll see how this all plays out. But, what I want to talk about today is 5 reasons that I have found. These are 5 storylines. I've been watching a lot of the Attitude Era lately. And 5 storylines that would not fly today. 5 storylines that Vincent McMahon over there would not put on the show today because everything's so PC, PG, non-controversial. You can't have controversy here. That's totally wrong. Eric Bischoff said this best: controversy creates cash. So this is why these 5 storylines, are not in today, but they should be, I think, some of them. But we'll see. Let's see what your thoughts are. You let me know what you think about this. First one I want to talk about is Val Venus and Ken Shamrock. That storyline, you have to think back. If you've been following it back in the days, you'll understand. But, it all started because of Ken Shamrock's sister, Ryan Shamrock. Ken Shamrock, of course, being the UFC fighter, but Val Venus playing the porn star, which that's controversial today. You don't have these gimmicks. That's first off what I want to say. You don't have these gimmicks. You have everybody wanting to come out with their real name. Dude, nobody knows who you are. Come up with a gimmick. God, get me excited, But, so Val Venus started flirting with Ken Shamrock's sister. And then it turned into more. And then there was a nice special episode there where they had her in the shower, and of course Val Venus being the porn star, getting ready to go to town. Like I said, you don't have this. Ken Shamrock was enraged, of course. They had their feud for a while over the Intercontinental title. Val Venus ended up winning it back and forth. You've seen Shamrock with it. Billy Gunn involved in this as well. But that's just one of the stories there. I thought it was a great storyline. I thought it added more drama. It made me want to watch the promos more. Which, that's also what's missing from today's world. The promos are just meh. They're not that great. They should be better. So that's number 1. Number 2, in this one here, this was very early in the Attitude Era. This was around, I think, I want to say 96 or 97. You had so many groups there too, by the way. You don't have that as much now. You got a little bit of groups, but back then you had the Oddities, you had DX, you had, the Hart Foundation, you had the Nation of Domination, which is funny. The last 3 there, they all kind of fit on this. There was an episode where the Nation of Domination's locker room got destroyed, and they wrote racial words on there, dropping the N-bomb, other stuff. Go back to where you came from. A whole bunch of stuff was written on there. And of course, the Canadian flag, which they all thought, oh, that's the Hart Foundation. They did it. Bret Hart, Owen, Anvil, Bulldog. But they didn't. This was all created by DX, a great diversion. And you don't see that. You won't see that kind of charge going towards the heat, as we call it. You won't see that kind of heat involved in today's storylines. It definitely brought up a lot of things, It really did. And then Shawn Michaels calling Bret Hart the Grand Wizard. I mean, this is some of the stuff that you won't be able to see. Yes, is it entertainment? That's debatable. I like it, because I know it's story, it's not real. But, were they pushing the envelope there? Yeah. And people were tuning in. This was back when pro wrestling was at its top, when it was truly at its greatest point, because the Attitude Era people loved. And it's just shocking, they don't do this kind of stuff anymore. Of course, today's society, you can't, because everybody gets offended. This one here, this is number 3 on this list, by the way. Number 3, Mark Henry ends up getting, fellatio from a transsexual. Unbelievable, It was funny because during this storyline, Mark Henry wanted to be sexual chocolate. This was right after Nation. Him and D'Lo kind of parted ways. And, he thought he was going to be the ladies' man. He wanted to come out and be the ladies' man. And he was always trying to get with China, which I understand. Everybody always wanted to be in China. I always seen that sign. That always made me laugh. But, they had a storyline where he got hurt and one of China's friends was taking care of him and make sure he was okay. And then she locked the door and, proceeded to hook up with him a little bit. And then 2 weeks later, China called him out, and Mark Henry's mom was sitting in the stands. I think that was kayfabe. I'm not 100% sure if that was his real mom or not. But he had to tell this story. And then, she showed the video. It's another thing where you're not going to see this. Was it controversial as hell? Yeah. Very controversial. But, you wanted to see what was going to happen next. With China and Mark Henry, you wanted to see where that was going. Because Mark Henry went on to go flirt with Deborah at the time, when she was managing Owen Hart and Jeff Jarrett. So, there was some more storyline to this. Number 4. Not really a storyline, but a thing. And this was something that happened like on a weekly basis. The Godfather's hose. Yes, that's what they called him, the hose. And yes, Lita was a hoe. Was a Godfather's hoe. Just pointing that out there. I know WWE don't want you to know that. But he would bring out women. He had this pimp character. And thank God it worked for him. It got him in the Hall of Fame. Because before he was Kama Mustafa, the Supreme Fighting Machine. Kama, all that. Papa Shango. Let's go there. Yeah, Papa Shango. Which I love that gimmick, by the way. I did. But he finally found a gimmick that got him over. And it got him over huge. All he had to do was be himself, which is something that professional wrestling's missing too. Because you got scripted writers that tell you how to be, what to do, what to say, when to say it, how to say it. Not be yourself. So yeah, the Godfather's hose, he would bring them out to the ring. And, sometimes he would offer them, to other wrestlers. He would say, okay, I will offer you this lady. I'll call it lady from here on out. If you forfeit your match, basically. And he would do that. And a lot of people loved it. It was a huge pop. What sells in this world? Sex and violence. And you had sex right there. So, that right there, I mean, and in one story, one part, yes, Godfather ended up calling William Regal a fag, quote unquote. You know, you find this, you know, you won't see that kind of language in today's world. No, because everybody gets offended, you know, so you can't do that. You know, it's amazing that wrestling, you know, I'm surprised Vince McMahon, and I'm sure he is right now, he's probably talking to other people about selling his company. Because, dude, he can't do half the shit he used to do. He used to be able to write good stories. He, you know, give Vince Russo credit out of the 2 ideas out of the 50 he came out of. It was, you know, good. You know, number 5, and this one here is probably the only one, in my opinion, that you might be able to see. But I doubt it, because he's no longer here. And that was in the corporate ministry over there, back when the ministry was by themselves. They were doing, you know, sacrifices on TV. You know, they were possessing people, and they were doing all demonic stuff, and it was all evil, and it made you go, you know, root for Austin more, root for Mick Foley. You know, Kane locked up in a mental asylum. You know, Vince McMahon threatened him, I'll put you back there. You know, it really just kind of blew my mind when they were doing that. I was like, wow, you know, Commissioner Shawn Michaels, all that fit into that storyline. But yeah, I mean, Dennis Knight, otherwise known as Henry Godwin, otherwise known as Midian, you know, when he got sacrificed and he got possessed. And then they had Viscera, who they possessed. And, you know, it was all evil 666 stuff, which, you know, what was controversial back then. But, I mean, you don't have the Dead Man now. You don't have Kane now. They both retired. I mean, Undertaker, if he comes back, it's going to be the American Badass, and he'll fight somebody in a really good match, I'm sure. Because he ain't going to do it for, you know, just for kicks. It's going to be an A-plus match if he ever comes back. But, you know, this was back when you were able to do stuff like this. These were the top 5 things I found. Now, I'm sure there's more, but by all means, if you have your favorite, put it in the comments section. I'm interested to hear it, because there's some things I've missed. I've been watching it for the last couple weeks, just been going through it, wondering, man, if this stuff happened today, how great of shape would wrestling be? You know, and there's more I want to talk about here. It's the characters. Yeah, the guys, the names there. You had so many names in that Attitude Era. But it wasn't just them. It was the matches. Some of these matches you will not see anymore. Like, the big one to me that got everybody excited was bra and panties matches. You know, especially, you know, because the demographic was male 18 to 39. You know, that was generally the demographic WWE was shooting at. And, you know, they loved it. So I want to make sure, you know, wow, that's weird. Okay, sorry, my phone popped up there. But, I mean, bra and panties matches, they were something else. Yes, they showed women, you know, in their bra and panties. And, yes, did they get provocative? Yeah. Did the storylines get, you know, controversial? Yeah, but guess what? Ratings drew. People loved it, and they watched it, and they enjoyed it. Not just probably men, women too, I'm sure, you know. You had those matches, but then you had the violence. You had barbed wire matches like in ECW, you know. You had buried alive matches. You had casket matches. Notice all those that I'm basically saying are the Undertaker's main matches, but you'll never see those again. It just doesn't seem like, you know, they're going to do that. You know, used to have really good ladder matches. Yeah, one a year, and that's Money in the Bank. Money in the Bank is probably, you know, the pay-per-view where you have 2 ladder matches. But you don't have any outside of that. You don't really have any regular ladder matches. You don't have any submission matches, because there's not really any good submission-style wrestlers. I mean, God, don't let me say his name, Chris Benoit. That's right, I said it. You know, Benoit and Angle had some of the best matches I've ever seen in my life. They were truly 2 of the best guys I've ever seen worked in the ring. But you had matches. You had Shamrock. You had Dan Severn in that Attitude Era. You know, you had all these guys. Tank Abbott, UFC fighter. But you had guys that were doing submission holds. You know, that were making them realistic. Mick Foley, even with a mandible claw, yes. You know, hitting under there and paralyzing and all that stuff. It looked realistic. It was great. We you know, that's my positive on that. But you don't see these matches anymore. You know, you really don't. Buried Alive matches. God, I miss those. Those were some of the awesomest matches. I mean, Undertaker was involved in some of them, and Undertaker was not involved in some of them. There was tag matches where it was Buried Alive and other stuff. And those, you know, added to the mystique of The Undertaker. That's why he's one of the greats. But you'll never see that again. My point is, you know, I wish professional wrestling would go back to the way it was. I mean, I'm tired of seeing 50 super kicks in one damn match. You know, I'm tired of seeing flippy flop all damn day. You know, it's all just junk. It's garbage. It doesn't belong. You know, this is why wrestling has lost its popularity. You know, your most popular person was Becky Lynch, and she got pregnant. So that's gone. Nobody's going to talk about her for another, you know, 5, 6, 7, 8 months, however long it lasts until she gives birth, and then decides to come back to the ring. You know, you don't have it. The Monday Night Messiah, Seth Rollins. Yes, it's a good group, good gimmick, and they're doing a thing with Dominic and Rey Mysterio, but it's nothing compared to the Attitude Era. You know, it's nothing compared to it. And a lot of these is what wrestling's missing. It's missing it so much. You know, I want to finish this because, you know, usually every one of these, I do my movie of the week. And there's a certain movie, and I'm telling you, by the way, if you haven't got Shudder, if you love horror movies, check that out. I'm telling you, it's cheap, $4.99, and you get some of the best and worst horror movies of all time. You know, you will find some cheese, but you'll find some great horror too. And it's got an all-around stuff, even documentaries in there. They had the one, The Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Scream Queen, over there with Mark Paxton. That one there was really good. I suggest you check that out if you're really into horror. But this movie, yeah, Bloody Birthday, 1981. Let me tell you, this one here was stuff that you, again, even in Hollywood, would not find on television. You would not find this on television. You wouldn't find this probably on Cinemax or HBO. You won't find this movie because this movie was pretty gruesome and it was very disturbing in some points. You know, about 3 kids going around murdering people. If you're into that kind of stuff, I want you to check it out. And let me know what your thoughts are. Yes, it's old school. It's 1981. So don't expect the CG stuff that you normally find. Again, more things. I'd like to thank you all for tuning in. Give me your response to this. Let me know if you like this, if you can. If what I'm talking about is true, if what I'm talking about is crap, let me know. If you can, like, subscribe, share this video. I really would appreciate it. I'm trying to get back to making more videos. Next week, I think I'm going to go over the NFL a lot more in depth because there's some